everybody, Wannabe Reviewer here, and welcome back to the Wannabe Podcast, episode 28. Before we begin this week's podcast, I had this idea that I want to throw out there, and, depending on how it goes, maybe it's something that we could do and, play along as the podcast progresses. Basically what I'm saying is that after last week's podcast, in which I talked about the Cowboy Bebop live-action series that's being made, and the Akira live-action movie that's, being filmed in, California, and Leonardo DiCaprio is supposed to, produce it or whatever, I had one of my subscribers named Teeny Leaf bring up something called, I want to say it was anime live-action bingo, and even though it was more of a joke, and I don't think it was supposed to be a literal thing, I think it would be fun to play, literally, anime live-action bingo. Basically what I mean is that, I think it's inevitable that any popular anime series, I think Hollywood will look at it and they'll decide they want to make a live action adaptation of it. So I think it'd be fun to grab the names of a bunch of anime series that don't have live action adaptations, throw them on a bingo card, and then, as the weeks progress, play bingo and see how long before the card fills up, or how long before someone actually gets bingo. I could totally see me throwing on there Fully Cooley or Hellsing or, I don't know, Gurren Lagann or something, right? And then, inevitably, when they make some crappy Fully Cooley movie starring, I don't even know who's popular right now, but when they make some sort of Fully Cooley movie that totally misses the style and the point of the story and everything, I can mark down my bingo card. And when they make some sort of Gurren Lagann movie that totally misses the point and is a total Pacific Rim, rip-off, I can throw that, I can mark it on the card. So, I don't know. It kind of sucks in the sense that, it's kind of sad to see all these series get ruined. But at the same time, at least we can kind of have some fun with it, keeping track of it. So, I don't know. It was just one of those things where I think if you guys are interested, let me know in the comments section below. And if you guys are interested, also give me a list of stuff you'd like to see on the card. And if enough people are interested, maybe I can actually make some sort of a little bingo card and all of you can follow along at home. So, as the podcast progresses and if, more stuff gets announced, we can keep track of it. I just thought it would be fun, but yeah, if you guys are interested, let me know. I think it'd be kind of a cool idea, so yeah, there you go. With that being said, guys, I think I will, transfer over to my week, because speaking of anime, the newest anime season just started, and, I watched quite a few new anime, and I really would like to talk about them, so let's go over to that. So the first anime series that I want to talk about is a little anime series called Fruits Basket. Now, I don't know how many of you have heard of this series before. It's both a popular manga, and I know that there was a prior, anime series back in 2001. Besides hearing that it's a really good manga, and it has an interesting premise, I don't really know anything about the story, I don't know if the other series, it took a different direction at the end that wasn't faithful to the manga, that sort of thing. I'm not really too sure about this series and how it's done in the past. All I know is that I watched the first episode, and I know that I have heard about it before, and that people do really like the series and the franchise. So having watched the first episode, I thought it was interesting. Basically, it's about this girl. Her name is something like Toru Honda or something like that. And she's a 16-year-old girl that when she was younger, her mom dies in a car crash. And basically, she moves in with her grandpa. The grandpa, because he's kind of old and senile, she ends up taking more care of him than he does of her. So when he says that, his family wants him to move in with them, basically he says, hey, I know I've been kind of, I don't remember the exact words. I think he says, I know I've been kind of a burden on you, and my family's asking me to move in with them, and I don't want to trouble you. So if you have some friends to stay with, why don't you move in with them? That way you can be more comfortable and you can keep going to the same school, blah, blah, blah. And basically the girl, I guess she doesn't want to burden the grandpa further. And I guess she wants to start feeling like an adult. So she says that, she lies, and she says that, yeah, like she'll find somewhere to live. And that's where it gets kind of funny, but it's kind of sad at the same time. When the series starts, we see that she's living out of a tent because, basically she didn't have friends she could stay with. And I don't know, I guess the next best thing she could think of is like camping in the woods. So when the series starts, she's living in a tent with a few of her possessions. She goes to school, she goes to a part-time job, and then back to the tent, And what she doesn't know is that where she has her tent, it's like privately owned land, I guess. And it belongs to this family. And two members of that family, one of them who is a classmate of hers and his older cousin, one day they see her walking through the woods and they're like, hey, what is she doing here? Does she live close by? That we know of, there's no like houses around here. So they follow her and they see that she lives in a tent. And because they feel bad for her, they ask her to move in. And up to now, the anime seemed pretty, I would say pretty typical. Like, it's an interesting premise, seeing how she moves in with them and stuff. But up to now, it seemed very normal, right? And I'd heard that it has like some fantasy elements to it and stuff. And sure enough, near the end is where you get like the big twist or whatever. I don't think it's really spoilers. I mean, if you look it up, it says what the spoiler is, I guess. But basically, she's gonna, put her things in her new room when suddenly like this guy crashes through the roof and it looks like he and that guy who's like the classmate of hers are gonna fight. And I guess she doesn't want them to fight. So she like jumps in the way. And when she does, she accidentally like ends up touching like all three guys in the room. Like she kind of like bumps into them and they all transform into different animals. Like one turns into a rat, one turns into a cat, and one turns into like a wolf or like a dog. I can't really tell if it's supposed to be like a dog or a wolf, but some sort of canine creature. And yeah, that apparently that's where it gets weird. But if you look up the premise for a show, it's supposed to be like this fantasy slice of life romance story about this girl that moves in with this family. And I guess there's all these different people that if they get hugged by the opposite, sex, they transform into animals of the zodiac. And I don't know what part that'll play in the bigger story. Sounds super weird. But from what I saw, at least it was kind of funny when it happened in the series. From what I've heard, like I said, I've heard a lot of people say they really like this manga and that they think like the premise is really interesting. So I don't really know what to think. I don't really know what to say about the animal transformation. I mean, it's weird, but at least it has my attention. That's all I can really say. So likewise, if you've heard of this series and you've been waiting for it to get remade, there you go. The first episode is out now. And if you haven't heard of the series, same as me, I hope that at least my description of the first episode and the premise, hopefully it interested you and hopefully you check it out. The next anime series that I wanted to talk about is called Demon Slayer. Like, it does have some longer name, and I've heard it has like different versions of the name, but the name that I saw like on Crunchyroll that I'm going with is Demon Slayer. And Demon Slayer, I think it has like a really good premise, and depending on where it goes, I think it could be like really good. So basically, I don't really know what time period you would call this, but I guess they do have electricity, so it's not that primitive. But basically the series is about this kid, that he is the oldest of 6 siblings, and he lives with his siblings and his mother in the mountains. And one day, I guess because they're kind of poor, it's snowing, and he gets like a little bag, he fills it up with like charcoal logs, and he says that he's gonna go into the town to sell charcoal. So, he heads into town, and from like the way people are talking to him, that sort of thing, you can see that people really like him, and that he's always doing like odd jobs for like money and to help people, that sort of stuff. And so, he seems like a pretty cool guy, he seems nice, and we see how, like I said, people seem to trust him, that sort of thing. So he goes into town to sell the charcoal for his family. On the way back, this old man stops him and he says that, hey, it's getting late, and I think there was like a storm coming or something. And he's like, you should stay the night because, not only is it dangerous to like be in the dark because of, like I said, I think there was like a storm, but he says like there's demons that are probably gonna come out. So you should stay with me. And the thing is, like, the demons sound like they're rare enough that the kid like kind of thinks the old man's just being kooky. but at the same time, like I don't know, it seems like they're kind of a myth, I guess, because the kid, the kid didn't act like it's something that like regularly happens, but at the same time, he did kind of go like, oh yeah, demons, I remember when I was younger, my grandma would tell me stories about them. So it seems like it's one of those things that like definitely exist, but like very rarely, I guess. But, that aside, he stays with the old man, for the night. The old man kind of tells him a little bit about the demons and how they're man-eaters, that sort of thing. And so the next, day, as soon as the sun comes up, he heads back to his family. And when he gets there, he sees that his family is slaughtered. Like there's blood everywhere. And I guess he has like a really good sense of smell, and he knows that like he can smell like something was at his house, and he's just devastated, because he feels like it's all his fault because of how he stayed the night and he could have been there to protect them, that sort of thing. He notices that the sister, who's like the second oldest, I guess, he notices that she's still warm. Like she's still conscious. So he grabs her, puts her on his back, and he starts like running through the woods, because he says that if he can take her to a doctor, like maybe they can save her. And as he's, trying to take his sister like to a doctor or whatever, like she like wakes up and she starts like snarling at him and trying to attack him. So, at that point, I guess like one of the titular demon slayers shows up. And basically, he wants to kill the guy's sister. And he tells him, she's probably been infected by demon blood. And so she's a demon now, too. And, that's why she's acting like this. And the kid, he says, no, earlier I saw there was, some humanity in her. I saw she recognized me, blah, blah, blah. And so they start fighting. And obviously our main character is super outmatched because the demon slayer dude, he's super fast and he has all these techniques and he has a sword and you can tell he's trained to fight. But as he's fighting him, the main character does pull off this sleight of hand move where he basically almost hits the demon slayer. If the demon slayer had taken 1 second longer, this axe that the main character had probably would have hit him. And so obviously, despite the fact that the demon slayer was calling him weak and, he was kind of berating him and stuff, you can tell that impresses him. And not only that, but after, the main character gets knocked out by the demon slayer, the sister does indeed jump in the way and try to protect her brother, which the demon slayer has never seen before. He's never seen someone who's being transformed into a demon, show, bits of humanity. So he knocks her out. Basically, when the main character wakes up, he tells them okay, I've never heard of anyone who's ever done this, but if you really think, and if you're really willing to, do whatever it takes to transform your sister back into a human, go to such and such guy in such and such village, tell him that I sent you, good luck. And he basically teleports away. And so the episode ends with our main character, he has a sister with him. She has a muzzle on now. And he basically, promises her that no matter what, he's going to find a way to transform her back into a human and that he's going to, avenge his family. And I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm underselling it, but trust me, I think the way the first episode plays out is really good. I think it could be a really strong series because I think the fact that he wants to avenge his family and find a way to transform his sister back when it's supposed to be impossible, I think that's really cool. And I don't know. I mean, I really recommend it. I thought it was really interesting. I thought it was really cool. And once again, for anyone who, maybe missed it, it's called something like Demon Slayer. It has a longer name, but if you look up Demon Slayer, it is on Crunchyroll. So, you should be able to find it that way. And I'm definitely excited to see what comes next because that first episode really hooked me and I want to see more, And from what I've seen, it looked like other people also really liked it. So I would say check it out, I think it looks really cool and, hopefully it doesn't disappoint. Hopefully as it progresses, it's a really good series. So there you go. The next anime series I wanted to talk about was One Punch Man Season 2. Now, having watched the first episode, I thought it was fun. I thought it was fine. When it comes to the characters and the story and stuff, I thought that was really great. I thought it was fun seeing the characters come back, seeing what they were up to. I thought that the story was pretty good. It feels like a lot happens, but at the same time, a lot doesn't happen sort of thing. I feel like basically everything that happens is kind of foreshadowing or laying the groundwork for stuff later in the season, But I thought that was really interesting. When it comes to animation, I know a lot of people were worried about like how bad it would be. I mean, I myself covered a story a few weeks back where there was like a trailer, and the trailer looked kind of like, I don't know, it looked like really stilted, right? I haven't seen the first episode though. Although there was some moments that seemed kind of weird, overall I would say the animation was fine, you know? Then again, I am really bad with that kind of thing, so I might just be like the last one to notice. But yeah, I mean, overall, I'm just happy that One Punch Man is back. I think it looks fine so far. Story-wise, I think it was kind of cool how they set up a bunch of stuff. And when it came to the characters, I thought it was like as funny as always, you know. I thought seeing what they were up to was really fun. Like there's this guy, you know, just to kind of give like a quick little like summary of what happened. Basically, we find out that this like big buff hero that kind of reminds me of All Might. Basically, we find out that he's actually like a big coward, and he's been taking the credit for everything that Saitama has done. And so like that was really funny. And when like, you know, Saitama like confronts him, it's really funny just seeing the guy like break down. I don't know, I enjoy those moments. I think seeing that guy's like this huge otaku who doesn't want to fight monsters and who just wants to go home and play his like visual novel game, I thought that was really fun. And I don't know, I mean, like I said, overall I just think it was a fun first episode. You know, I enjoyed it. I don't know if other people out there, you know, maybe they were more bothered by the animation. I mean, I couldn't say. But in my opinion, I thought the first episode was good. I had fun with it, and I recommend checking it out, you know? I for sure can't say what'll happen in future episodes. You know, maybe other future episodes will be like really bad in animation, but at least when it came to the first one, I thought it was fine. So there you go. Moving on, this next one, I mean, I don't really know what to think about it yet. It could go either way, but I watched a little series called We Never Learn, and it seems fine enough, I guess. Basically, it's about this third-year high school student that I guess he's really trying hard at school because he remembers like the words of his late dad and how his late dad was like always like really pushing him to like get better grades and believe in himself, that sort of thing. And I guess if he gets like top of his class, he could potentially win this like scholarship that will pay for like all of his university fees or whatever. So he's working his butt off. I guess you can say like a wrench gets thrown into everything when they tell him that he indeed is in the running for that, you know, like scholarship thing. But one of the requirements is that he has to, tutor these two girls, and like one of them, the girl with the red hair, she is excellent at science, you know, like it shows her solving like a physics equation like without even doing work because she just like knows the answer. And on the other hand, there's this girl with blue hair that she's excellent at like I don't know if you'd call it English, I guess, but she's excellent at like writing and like reading. And it shows that she like makes this, she like turns in this essay that like the teacher's reading it and he's like, it's perfect. And he's like crying or whatever. And where it gets complicated is that he has to tutor each of these girls, but each of them want to pursue a career in the thing that they suck at. So like the girl that's really good at like physics and math, she actually wants to get into like literature, and I think she wants to like study psychology in college. And the girl with like the blue hair, she loves the stars and she wants to study, you know, like space or whatever. And so it's just about him trying to like deal with these girls, and he's not sure how he's going to teach them, you know? And like I said, I mean, it seemed fine. There wasn't really anything that like blew me away, but I mean, depending on where the series goes, I mean, I guess it could be fun, you know? But as of right now, you know, I would say it's kind of a take it or leave it series. The first episode was fine, but nothing too special. And like I said, it's called We Never Learn. Once again, I know it has like a really long Japanese name that I don't have in front of me, but if any of that sounded interesting to you guys, I mean, you know, check it out, I guess. Finally, the last anime that I want to talk about is one that I had actually heard about quite a while ago and that I've been like really excited for quite a while. It's this series called Carole and Tuesday, and I really liked the first episode. I thought it was really nice. I think it looks like it, you know, could be a really good series. But basically, Carole and Tuesday, it takes place like in the future. And for whatever reason, it takes place on Mars. And so, you know, there's like a lot of technology, things look different, that sort of thing. And we meet these two girls. One is called Carole, and she's this like black girl, and she lives by herself. We don't really know what her deal is yet, but it looks like she's an orphan. And basically, like, we see her living by herself and we see her like go to work, but it looks like she's always getting kicked out of jobs, this and that. And she plays like a little like keyboard, and you can tell she like really wants to be a musician. And so like every time she's working, that sort of thing, she's trying to like, survive because she wants to be a musician. And on the other side of the spectrum, we have this girl named Tuesday who comes from like a really rich family, but I guess like everybody kind of like has a lot of pressure on her and they don't want her to be a musician. So we see her like run away from home and escape to like this city. And one day, Tuesday is walking like down the street and she runs into Carole. And Carole's playing her keyboard or whatever, and she's kind of like vocalizing a song, but it doesn't have any words. And Tuesday, like falls in love with it, and she tells her like, oh my God, that's so great. And she can kind of like tell what Carole is feeling as she's singing it. And, we then see that, Carole and Tuesday go back to Carole's place. They're talking about being musicians, that sort of thing. And they both start jamming together. And I guess Tuesday's like really good at like writing lyrics. So we see her kind of like writing some lyrics to like Carole's song. And that's basically it. Like I gotta admit, not too much happened, but I just really like it because I think like the animation's really good. I think the characters are like really interesting. Like their designs are like really strong. Like Tuesday, she's dressed in like fancier like dresses and stuff, while Carole is dressed in like more punk clothes. So I think seeing like the difference between them is really cool. And I think like the premise, of these two girls like coming together to like make music together, I think that's really cool. And so, as of right now, I recommend it. I think it seems like it could be like a really good series. And if it's like something like Your Lie in April or like Beck, where they have like all this music that they integrate really well, then I think it could be like a really cool, really fun series. So like I said, I recommend it. It's called Carole and Tuesday. The only thing I will say though is that similar to stuff like High Score Girl and like Violet Evergarden, it's one of those Netflix Japan exclusives. So if you want to watch it, it's probably going to be kind of hard to like track it down. Like I had to do some work just to get the first episode, but if you can manage to track it down, I'd say check it out. I think it looks like it could be a really nice, really fun series. So there you go. Alrighty, and with that being said, I would say that's basically, all of my week. I think that anime took up a pretty big chunk of my free time, honestly. And with that being said, I think we should transfer over to the news now. I will admit it was kind of a, it was kind of a slow week. There wasn't too much stories, but all the same, I do think there are some stories worth telling. This first news story, for instance, is all about how apparently Super Smash Bros. Ultimate TV spot may have leaked a stage builder mode. So yeah, basically earlier this week, there was this like TV spot for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and someone, who was like an eagle-eyed viewer, they noticed that in the mode called Games and More, you can spot that in the lower right-hand corner, it says Stage Builder, and so people are excited. In the past, even if the mode hasn't been that great, people still enjoy it, and I guess they're hoping that in this version, since this version seems to like, be jam-packed with everything and anything you could want, and everything's like been really retooled and like redone, I guess people are hoping that they'll finally give us like a really good stage builder mode. And I don't know, there's not really much else to say. Basically, the article is all about how it seems they might have accidentally leaked it, and people are speculating that it's going to come out in version 3.0, which is supposed to be like the one that's coming out before the end of the month, when they might add Joker, from Persona 5. But yeah, until then, not much else to say. We don't really know what it looks like yet. But still, I guess the fact that people think that it is coming is awesome. And so, if you own Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and if you've been waiting for Stage Builder, luckily it looks like it's coming out soon. So look forward to that. Speaking of look forward to that, my next news story is about how that game, Valhalla, finally is coming to PS4 and Switch on May 2nd. For anyone who doesn't know, Valhalla, which is like spelled VA-11 Hall /A, Basically, you play as this girl named Jill. Actually, I can read the little description real quick. In a cyberpunk future, capitalist forces drive the corrupt government of Glitch City, a place known for both rapid advancements in technology and a disregard for the ethical quandaries of nanomachine experiments on the general public. Enter Valhalla, a hole-in-the-wall dive bar providing solace for lonely souls facing the brutality of daily dystopia. Bartender Jill listens to everyone's tales while mixing drinks for strangers and regulars alike. Engage in lively conversations with a humanoid robot pop star, the editor-in-chief of a prominent magazine, a boy-crazy hacker, and others to unveil the society of Glitch City as seen through the eyes of its citizens. Jill pours libations, but her patrons pour out their souls. So yeah, it's just this really interesting game that, it's one of those things that people will argue if it's even a game, but it's just this fun thing where basically you make drinks, you talk to people, you can kind of choose, who to talk to, and it's just supposed to be a very chill experience that's basically, supposed to be about the atmosphere and stuff. And I've been excited to play it. So hearing that's finally coming to PS4 and Switch, I'm excited, and luckily it seems like it's going to be pretty cheap. It says here that it's coming out on May 2nd for $14.99, in US dollars. So I definitely want to check that out as soon as it comes out. I'll probably get it on Switch, so I can have it on the go. But yeah, if any of you have ever heard of this game before, and if you've been waiting for it to come to one of the systems, other than PC, luckily it's coming out soon. So there you go. Same as I said earlier, look forward to it. This next news story is one of those weird ones that when I look at it, I don't know who thought about this. I don't know who this is aimed at. Who is this for? But as the title of the article states, Grease prequel movie titled Summer Loving in the works. Now, I don't know how many of you have seen Grease in the past. For anyone who doesn't know, Grease is this movie from 1978. In it, there's this greaser guy, and he's in love with this, I guess you'd call her a preppy, transfer student. And I'm not going to describe all of Grease for you, but it's this musical about them and their relationship and, how they're from different backgrounds or whatever. And, in that movie, near the beginning, there's a song they sing that it describes the first time they meet. And for whatever reason, we'll call this person a genius, quote unquote. But for whatever reason, some genius has decided that they're going to make this prequel film that's all about that first time that these characters met. Now, I don't know how that's going to work. The reason it's a song in the original is because it's just the date, there's probably not that much to tell. But for whatever reason, that's what the movie's supposed to be about. It's supposed to, it says right here, the new film will aim to recount the very first meeting between Danny and Sandy, which both teens sing to their friends about in one of the most well-known songs from Grease. How you turn that into a movie, I don't know. I'm pretty sure these people don't even know. If you look at it, there's not really much details. They don't really know who's going to play the leads yet. It just says that I guess they're working on a script, but there you have it. If you are just dying for more Grease, and if you're really that interested in seeing how these two characters met because the song wasn't enough for you, then there you go. This movie is for you. So keep an eye out for it, I guess, there you go. Moving over to another thing that I'm not sure who this is supposed to be for. I get who it's supposed to be for, but I guess we'll see how it goes. As the title of the article states, Monsters, Inc. Disney Plus TV show confirms Billy Crystal and John Goodman return. Now, for anyone who doesn't know, Disney Plus is supposed to be Disney's streaming service that I guess they're working on so that they can launch it, sometime this year. And I didn't know it, but apparently they're going to make a Monsters, Inc. TV show. And I don't really know what else to say. If you read through it, they have a whole premise for it where it's supposed to take place after the first movie. It's supposed to be about Mike and Sully and how, they're working to, instead of scare kids, they're working on making kids laugh, that sort of thing. Honestly, the story sounds interesting, but it's the kind of thing I'd rather see in a movie than in a series. So that's why I'm not really sure why they're making this. In the past, animated, TV shows based on animated films, they're usually from like mediocre to bad, Like I can't really think of one that I would say is like really good. However, on the other hand, the fact that they do have the voice actors coming back, I mean, that's cool at least. Because something that sucks is like when you're watching a show and you can tell that the voice actors aren't the same. So, I mean, at least on that hand, at least they have the voice actors back. That's cool. But in the end, I think that if they have like this whole plot set up, they should have just made a sequel. People have been waiting for a sequel based on how the first movie ended, but I don't know. I mean, there you have it. If we look through, I don't think there's really any details yet for when it's going to come out, but I mean, if that sounds interesting to you, keep an eye out for it, I guess. So there you go. Moving on, this next news story is about how the Promised Neverland, the dub cast members have been revealed. I'm not surprised, honestly. I mean, even though the Promised Neverland just ended, apparently it's going to start airing on Toonami on April 13th. So yeah, I mean, they released the cast. It seems like it's a pretty good cast. For instance, Emma is going to be Erica Mendez, who I've mentioned her before. I think she's great in like everything she's done up to now. Another voice I recognize is Michelle Ruff, which I think she's really good. Not only has she done like a lot of voices in the past, but she voiced Yoko Littner in Gurren Lagann, and that's where I fell in love with her. I think she's awesome. Besides that, I'll admit I don't really recognize a lot of these, names, but I think the fact that a dub is coming so soon is really good. If you guys don't know, I think The Promised Neverland is great. I think it is very worth watching. And the fact that they're doing the dub so soon, I think that's awesome because, even though it does sound silly, why don't people just watch the subs? They're out there. I mean, for whatever reason or another, some people just prefer the dubs, and hopefully that gets more viewers and stuff. I think that's good, more power to the show. So there you go. If you've been waiting for the dub of this to come out, which I know some people had commented that they were waiting for a dub before they really dive in. I mean, there you go. It's coming out super soon, so look forward to it. Finally, the last news story that I wanted to share, I mean, basically I'm just sharing this because I just stumbled upon it and I just thought it was a really interesting, slash fun story that I wasn't expecting. But basically, as the title of the article states, Lady Gaga contributes Born This Way song for the Fable manga's live action film. So I don't know anything about this manga series, but basically, reading about what it's about and seeing the trailer, it's this weird series about this guy that I guess he's a really good hitman, but his boss, and he's really loyal to his boss, I guess. And I guess the boss tells him, I need you to lay low for a year. I mean, to, I guess, kind of get the heat off of the boss or whatever. And because the guy's super loyal, I mean, he settles down and tries to live a normal life. But based on what I've, seen of, the trailer and what I've kind of read up on, it seems like he's trying to lay low, but people are making it very hard on him. And so I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it's supposed to be comedic. In the trailer, they make it seem funny. And that's where I was going to say the Lady Gaga part comes in. It starts serious. It shows him, being an assassin and stuff. But then when all the hijinks ensue, the Lady Gaga song starts playing. And it's just funny seeing this pop song in English play as you see all these Japanese people doing all these crazy, moves and fighting, and he's doing all sorts of crazy, gun tricks and stuff. And I don't know. It just seems super crazy. But from what I saw, the trailer made me laugh. I thought the use of the Lady Gaga song was pretty good. And I don't know, even though, Japanese, media using songs in English isn't super rare or anything, it just caught my attention, because it still doesn't happen that often. And I just thought it was interesting. So if you guys look at the link in the description below, you'll see the article where it talks about it. I mean, I don't know, maybe the movie's worth watching. Honestly, it kind of caught my attention with that trailer. And if you guys click on it, you guys can see the Lady Gaga song playing over the montage of this guy doing all these crazy action stunts and stuff. So there you go. Like I said, I just thought it was a fun story. And so that's why I chose it for the last one, to wrap up this week's podcast. So there you go. Check it out. Alrighty guys, and with that brings us to the end of another news week. As usual, hopefully there was something entertaining, something informative, something that, caught you guys' attention, that sort of thing. I do kind of apologize for it being like a slower week. Well, I don't apologize for it being a slower week. I can't control it, but what I do want to apologize is the fact that I just felt like all the stories were like very short, and I felt like I kind of blew past them, so I apologize for that part. But, hopefully all the same, you guys had a good time, and hopefully you guys enjoyed the different news stories, that sort of thing. With that being said, I think it's time to transfer over to the last part of the podcast, which is the content creator spotlight. And this week's content creator is a little channel that, I call it a little channel, but it has more subscribers than I do, so it doesn't need any help. But all the same, I think it's a really fun channel called KaffeineGaming. And KaffeineGaming, I've been following her for a while. I've been following her since she started her Persona playthrough, like of the original Persona, like Persona 1. And that was like a while ago. But I hadn't really interacted with her, or like commented or anything, because I just, I was just watching the LP, wasn't really sure what to say. It was a game I've never played before. But recently, now that she started her Katamari reroll LP, that's when I kind of started commenting on her stuff, and I started checking out more of her channel and stuff. But basically KaffeineGaming, currently sitting at 1.1 thousand subscribers, is this really fun channel that does LPs, streaming, and, other stuff, like recipes and stuff, which I'll get to in a moment. But like I said, her bread and butter is LPs, and she LPs all sorts of stuff. She's LP'd Katamari Reroll, which I think that's really fun. She LP'd the first Persona game. That was really cool, because I'd never seen that game before. She does streams where she streams Stardew Valley, I think like at least once a week. I really love that game. And then, like I said, she also does like other stuff on her channel too. Like she has like a few recipes on her channel where she has cooked stuff from video games. So she has like a video where she made a rhubarb pie from Stardew Valley. She has another one where she made like these different dishes from Monster Hunter. That's really fun. And yeah, overall, I think it's a really fun channel. I think that she has like a really cool personality. I think that even without trying, there's moments where she's really funny. Like I've had quite a few laughs when watching Katamari Reroll, because there's like these quotes she'll just say that like, I don't even think they're intentional, but it's just like really funny. And that's why she's my content creator for this week, because I think she does some like really cool LPs. I think her streams are fun, and I think it's cool how she does different things on the channel too. Like I said, like the recipes. I think the fact that she takes time to, do stuff like that, that's really fun. And so that's why, she's my content creator. And, if you're listening to this KaffeineGaming, I think your channel's great. I think that your LPs and your recipes and your streams, I think everything you do is really cool, really fun. Keep up the good work. And for anyone else who's listening, as usual, I would say check her out, show her some love. And if you're interested, please subscribe to her, give her some likes, comments, that sort of thing. And if you check her out, let her know that Wannabe Reviewer sent you. So there you go. Alrighty, with all that being said, that brings us to the end of another podcast. That is one more in the bag. Hopefully, as usual, you guys enjoyed this week's podcast, whether it was learning about new anime series or the few news stories that I did cover, either way, hopefully you guys liked that. If you did, feel free to comment in the comment section below. I love to interact with the community, so, talk to me. And to wrap up, I guess, my name is Wannabe Reviewer. I do the podcast every week. It can be found on YouTube, Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, Google Play Music, SoundCloud, bunch of places. Not only that, but you guys can find me over on Twitter at wannabe_review. And of course, I've mentioned a few times throughout the podcast, but I also run a YouTube channel called Wannabe Reviewer, where every week, usually on Wednesdays, I do some sort of a review, whether it's like anime, movies, TV shows, video games, that sort of thing. I try to do some sort of a little review of, something that I might have like watched or played earlier that week. So check it out, if you're interested. With that being said, I hope that you guys have a wonderful week. I'll try my best to be back here next week for episode 29. And my name is your Wannabe Reviewer. I will catch you guys next time.
follow me. Baby, I won't let you leave if you believe in me. And I'll always set you free from all those yesteryears. 'Cause you don't know how much, girl, I believe in you. Standing at your shoulder, shivering in such a cold, cold summer breeze.